Now it's time for the district breakdown. We have Inside High School Sports insider Matt Harris, who's going to give us more in-depth analysis of 14-6A. Matt?
Thanks, Ashley. We're back with our 6A coverage, and this week we're talking a little 14-6A, a district that's a carbon copy of last year's 16-6A. First up in our preview is the Aldine Mustangs. There's plenty of work to do in 2020 if Aldine wants to be competitive. The Mustangs won just one game each of the last 2 seasons, and they failed to win a district game last season. The good news is Aldine was a young team last season. They have some returning talent to potentially build on. Running back Jordy Benavides is back for his 3rd year of varsity ball and will look to carry an offense that didn't score much last season. Aldine probably isn't ready to compete for a playoff spot, but look for the Mustangs to string together a few wins to build on for 2021. Across town, Aldine Davis was a little better at 3-7. The Falcons had no problems on offense, scoring more than 20 points in every game but one. The problem was an 0-5 finish to the season. There are questions to be answered on defense, but the Falcons should be better in 2020 after a young team had to adjust to a new coach in Scott Joseph last season. Talented junior Tylen Stevens takes over at quarterback after getting some looks last season, and I expect the Falcons to be just as good on offense in 2020 as they were in 2019. The question is, can Davis figure out the defensive side of the ball? After a playoff appearance in 2018, Aldine Eisenhower found itself on the losing end of a 3-way tie for the final 2 playoff spots in 16-6A last season. The offense was the strength of the team a season ago, as the Eagles scored more than 20 points in 8 out of 10 games. That offense will be the strength of the team again in 2020, with Xavier Pickens slotting in at running back and Jamarcus Martin out wide. The key to breaking through will go through the talent at the top. The Spring ISD schools dominated the district last season, and one of them will likely need to slip up for someone else to get in. The school that slid into the final playoff spot behind the Spring ISD schools last season was Aldine MacArthur. The Generals got there by virtue of a head-to-head win against Eisenhower in a close game, 32-29. Unlike the previous Aldine schools we've discussed, MacArthur makes its money on defense. They had one of the top linebacker units in the district last season, and the return of Maurice Woods should mean more of the same. The Spring ISD schools will be the prohibitive favorites to slot into the playoffs again, but MacArthur and Eisenhower should absolutely be in the conversation as well. Meanwhile, Nimitz will have some work to do. The Cougars went 3-7 last season with just one district win, and the bad news doesn't stop there. Nimitz graduated most of its meaningful talent from last year's squad and will have to rebuild in 2020. The good news about rebuilds is new faces will have a chance to come in and step up, faces we've never seen. Those new faces could hold big potential, and we'll find out come August. That leaves me with the final 3 schools, the top 3 district finishers from last year. We'll start with Spring, who improved in its 2018 win total by 3 wins but ended with the same result, a first-round playoff exit. Spring finished the regular season on a 6-game win streak before a tough first-round matchup against the Woodlands that resulted in a 17-0 loss. The Lions return a duo of brothers, that's 4 people in total, at key positions. Alden Bradley holds down the quarterback spot, while his brother Caden doubles as a running back and an occasional wideout. Quarterback Bishop Davenport sees time at the spot as well, and his brother Bailey is a wide receiver on the team. In one game last year, each set of brothers threw a touchdown to their brother, something I thought was pretty awesome being a twin myself. Regardless, the offensive firepower is definitely back at Spring. I wouldn't be surprised to see them challenge for a district title, and I wouldn't be surprised to see them advance past the first round either. Spring Decaney was one of the 2 benefactors of the 3-way tie for the 3rd and 4th playoff spots last season. It was a needed bounce back from a 5-5 season in 2018 that saw them miss the playoffs. But the defense will be the strength once again as Kevon Garcia, Jeremiah Merritt, and Jaden Robertson are all back to lead a unit that held its opponents under 20 points in 5 games last season. The offense returns one of the top tight end targets in the state in Varkey's Gums, in addition to what they have coming back on defense. With all the returning talent, I see no problem for Decaney to make it back to the playoffs. That leaves us to close it out with last year's district champs, the Westfield Mustangs. Westfield is losing a lot from a wildly successful 2019 squad that made an appearance in the state semifinals. All-star linebacker Dylan Peavy is gone, and so too is bell cow Kendall Taylor. New leaders will need to step up on each side of the ball, but the defense still looks very promising, even in Peavy's absence. Jaden Perkins and Ashton Harris are back to lead a unit that allowed more than 20 points just 4 times in 15 games. As we do every week, we close with my player and team to watch, and I'm going to take a different approach than I normally do for both. My team to watch is split between Eisenhower and MacArthur. I think those two are most ready to assume a playoff spot behind the 3 Spring ISD schools, all of whom I believe will grab a spot. I'm interested to see how the race shakes out this season because it was so close last season. My players to watch are the quartet of twins at Spring. The Lions closed the season by splitting time between 2 talented quarterbacks, always a good problem to have. Alden Bradley and Bishop Davenport are more than capable signal callers, and I'm interested to see how the two are used this season. On the flip side, Caden Bradley and Bailey Davenport will be perfect weapons at other offensive skill positions for whomever is throwing the rock around or handing it off. That, and I'll admit maybe a little bias, I have a twin and a little brother, so I can relate to these